So, hello, I'm Colin, Moby1 on Twitter and various other things. Welcome to my very first video log. I'm not really sure why I'm doing this. I thought I'd give something different a go. Plus, I've got to download about half a dozen new apps, which is pretty cool, and play with those. Just another excuse to procrastinate. The intention is maybe to do this for 5-10 minutes once a month. Take place of my monthly writing update blog. I'll update you on the various bits and pieces I've been doing for my work in progresses. The thoughts on that, share some of the insights into what I'm writing at the moment. There's one later on Advent, my episodic sci-fi serial I'm writing. Reveal the pledges for the next month. And then perhaps at the end, at the moment, I'm thinking I'll do kind of like a little friends and family piece, a bit about those people in the blogosphere and on Twitter and various other things that have been commentating or helping or emailing or just generally offering support and guidance, or been doing some pretty cool things themselves that I'd like to share. Might mix it up with a little bit of book reviews, not in-depth stuff, but just pointing out a couple of books I've enjoyed in the last few weeks. So that's it. Not going to go into too much detail now. We'll just get on with the show and we'll start with the pledges. So on with the pledges. The attentive amongst you will notice there's been a wardrobe change. I'm wearing a different t-shirt. The director insisted upon it, said it would add more dramatic flair, make it more appealing to the audience. Either that or the screen capture software I was using that uses picture-in-picture was so utterly crap that after several attempts I've had to refilm this section on a different computer, on a different day. I'll let you choose which. But I wouldn't bother downloading ScreenNote from the App Store, not even the free version. Pledges. Why do pledges? I've been doing them on the blog since Christmas, since the beginning of the year. And I found this a really good way of being accountable. It gets me out of bed in the morning, the thought of letting down the very small number of people that read the blog. But those you guys spur me on, and that accountability keeps me honest. When I know I'm falling behind, it gives me a kick up the arse to catch up, and when I'm ahead, it kind of spurs me on as well, because I know I might even be able to exceed those pledges I've made. So the intention of this section is to give you a very quick summary of what I pledged last month and how I did, and then I will even quicker give you a view of what I intend to do for the following month. So what's coming up is a little summary of April, and then a very quick some points for what I'm going to do in May. So April then, the intention in April was to work on two projects. Constable, which is the steampunk-esque murder mystery story that I've been working on for a few months, rattling through the first draft on that, and I wanted to do 5,000 words on that. The other project is Advent, episode 1 of my sci-fi serialized episodic story. And I wanted to continue on the first draft of that and hopefully finish it. So 7,500 words on that. And I also wanted to start the second episode. The intention is each episode will be about 30 to 40,000 words. When I get through the first draft of one episode, I can start outlining the second episode because I've got a fair idea of where the story goes in the previous one. So I want to get stage 3 of the snowflake method for that one, which is essentially stage 1 is a single paragraph, stage 2 is a single sentence, stage 2 is 3 sentences, beginning, middle and end of the story, and then stage 3 is extending those sentences out into a paragraph, so you've got a reasonably tight paragraph for the beginning, end and the middle of the story. So how did I do? Right, Constable, I did slightly less than the 5,000 I intended to do, and in fact I did exactly 5,000 less than the 5,000 I intended to do, because I did 0 words. I decided at the beginning of the month, despite the pledges, I was going to put all my effort into Advent. The word count was a challenge already, but what I really wanted to do was finish that story. So I did nothing for Constable, and in fact I'm probably going to shelve that for a couple of months whilst I work on episode 1 and 2 of Advent. I'd like to get those out there, at least on Wattpad, if not on Amazon, and the Lykobo and iBookstore and stuff. So for now, that's going to be my focus. So on to Advent, episode 1, 7,500 words to do, and I did about 10,000, so really pleased with that, and those 10,000 brought me to the end of episode 1, so first draft done and dusted. As you'll have seen from my blog, I've turned my attention to the second draft. We're supposed to let it rest for about 2 weeks. That lasted about a week while we were away. Claire and I away with the kids in York for a few days, which was lovely. So already started on the second draft. What that time away did give me, and I can heartily recommend this if you want to keep up the momentum with your writing but don't want to have the pressure of churning out word count every day, is I focused on the Snowflake stuff, the outline, and you can bat away at that on your phone, on your tablet, or just scribbling and notes, particularly in the early stages, and that's worked really well. So I've achieved both of those goals for Advent. So April, not too bad, but a slight change in plan at the beginning, and a refocus. So May will continue to be about Advent, but there's one other thing I'm doing in May and June. I've decided to enrol in an open university. It is Open University, although they've rebranded themselves Future Learn, on a fiction course. It's all online, about 2 to 4 hours a week, 8 weeks. I thought it would be really useful to get a little bit of professional help, a little bit of polish on some of my thinking and some of my craft. And if nothing else, it should be a good opportunity to network, to meet some people. I've already caught up with a couple of people at the same sort of writing stage that I'm at, so looking forward to that. Advent, of course, will be my main focus. I can't measure word count anymore, not for episode 1, because I've done the first draft, so now it's all about revising chapters. There's 16 chapters in total, so the intention is I will do 12 chapters of second draft in May, with the remaining 4 in June. The intention is halfway through June, when I have the second draft done and dusted, bang it out to those incredibly kind and crazy fools who volunteered to beta read it, and I'll start publishing it on Wattpad then as well, and then the feedback between the beta readers and the Wattpad feedback will hopefully allow me to produce a third draft that will eventually go on to Amazon and the like. I'll also continue work on episode 2. I'm going to skip stage 4 of the Snowflake at this moment in time, because that's about the characters, and I want to do that when I've done the third draft of episode 1, because I should have the consistency of the Thrain and Morgan, who you've not yet met. Their characters and personalities should be a bit tighter, and so I can do that, and then that'll lead into episode 2 nicely. Stage 5 then is a 1-page outline, so taking those 3 paragraphs talked about in the April update and flesh them out into a 1-page description of the plot and the story. So that, in a nutshell, is May. So this part is called Insight. The intention is to give you a little bit of a view of one of the pieces of work I'm doing, share with you some of the thoughts I've got, some of the challenges, you can see where my head is. It'll give you a little bit of insight into the story as well, so if you want spoilers and sneak previews, if you're into that sort of thing, then this might appeal to you. Today I want to briefly chat about Advent. Obviously, it's a big focus of mine at the moment. You'll have seen from chapter 1 that's on the blog, the main character Thrain is different from the rest of society. You've not really got a good view of that, but you should have hopefully picked that up from the story. As I go through the later chapters, you start to understand his motivation for that, why he wants to be different, why he rebels against the system, the society, everything else. But there are certain things that fuel that motivation as well, certain things that spurred him on. One of the things is he has access to a level of information that other people don't. He's found secret ways, illegal ways to get hold of information from the past. Videos, books, stories, snippets of news, all mishmashed up together. Now I'm laying that into the story that you know that, and it's one of the reasons that fuels the plot along and later on. But I want him to use that information to drive his own action, so I want him to reference that stuff as almost like a source of knowledge. One of the things he does have access to is videos and entertainment stories from the past. So there's a point in chapter 3 where, in my first draft, he basically references James Bond. And in the first draft, it was really blunt, really came out of nowhere. You're reading this sci-fi, space opera type thing, and then all of a sudden James Bond is referenced as in amongst other people, and Thrain uses that knowledge to inspire him to a solution to his problem. But I've been trying to find a way to make it more subtle so it doesn't jar. Ultimately, I think it is going to jar. That reference or other references are going to slightly divert the reader's attention, but I want to try and make it as subtle as possible. So anybody else who's done that sort of thing in the past, who's layered in sort of modern references and today references sort of out of place, either in historic or a future type story, I'd be really interested in how you kind of overcame your challenges. You as the writer obviously know what's going on in the character's head, but trying to get that across subtly to the reader is quite a challenge. I'll certainly be interested in how the beta readers read that and people on Wattpad. But found a couple of subtle ways. A friend of mine, Spike, suggested perhaps some layering it not just in with things that people do know, but things that people won't know, perhaps not non-Western references, for example. So I've been doing some research into things like manga and stuff like that, which is pretty cool, but also some future ones, so actually between when the story's set and now, some other ones to show that it's not just in there for the sake of being in there, which that seems to be working quite well. So, little tip there, but also anybody who's faced that same challenge, I'd definitely be interested in your thoughts. Last bit of the video log, I just wanted to talk about some other things that have been out there that have inspired me, that I've enjoyed, and that other writers and perhaps readers might also enjoy. I want to start with a quick shout out, a quick thank you to all those people that commented on Advent Chapter 1, both the first draft in its raw glory and the second draft that I published about a week later. Some really helpful and thoughtful and supportive comments, better than I thought, if I'm honest. But I in particular wanted to do a shout out to a chap called D. Thomas Minton. I'll share his blog in the show notes. He posted a comment saying if I wanted to, just to email him and he would send some feedback back. What I got back was phenomenal. Thoughtful, insightful, constructive. Didn't pull any punches, but I'm open to that. Really helped that second draft come to life, and it still needs polishing, it still needs a bit of tightening up. There's still some word choice, some word selection, some grammar that needs a bit more thought, but we're talking minutes worth of polishing, and that second draft just wouldn't have happened through a combination of factors. The time I was looking at it, the way my brain was thinking at the time. I just wanted to do a shout out to Mr. M. Really appreciate it, mate. Other things, I've been reading this month or last month 3 particularly good books from fellow indie authors, self-publishers, whatever title we choose to call ourselves this month. First one is Chronovisor by Justine Allen. You may have seen her commenting on some of the blog posts. Time travel story. A company called Continuum that allows people to travel back in time, but not quite as free and easy as that. They can only travel back to body hop, I suppose, in one of their ancestors, and it's kind of random where they go. And it follows 3 characters. A customer of Continuum, an employee of Continuum, and the owner of Continuum, or the director, on their journeys as certain untoward things happen. Slightly different pace of book to what I've been reading just recently. I've been very much into action-packed books, a lot more thoughtful. The description in it and the character development's second to none, to be fair, for a first publication book. I know Justine had written quite a few short stories, but it really grabbed me in. Highly recommended if you like good sci-fi, particularly time travel tales, set in the modern day as well, which was interesting to read. So the second book I read in April was Contracts of Defiance by Tammy Salyer. Again, I'll put links for all these books in the show notes. This was complete opposite of the spectrum from Chronovisor. Military sci-fi, pure gung-ho action adventure, and certainly heart-pounding action, rollicking good ride. I think I wrote in the Amazon review. What really impressed me about this book, actually, though, was the lead characters, the characterization of the lead character. Whilst there were certain cliched elements about it, it often delved into quite a lot of introspection and thought, and particularly on a quest for a brother, which went through what I thought was quite a realistic journey. So I can highly recommend that if you like your military sci-fi with a little bit of extra depth. And last but not least was a book called Scare. I'm pronouncing that okay. S-K-E-R-E. Fantasy book, the first in the Silence of the Elysium series, by another new fantasy author, Ciara Darren. Actually probably author, not just fantasy author from what I've seen in the blog. from the minute this started, it reminded me of some of those epic fantasies, not the more modern stuff recently, but the Raymond Feast, Robin Hobbs, Johnny Wirt, some of my most favourite books of all time. Particularly the two lead characters, the Emperor and sort of the leader of the arcane spellcaster warrior cast. Follows those two through a journey. Political intrigue, murder mystery, bodies dropping all over the place. Certainly not epic battles and the like, but building up that tension and building up that plot, and thoroughly enjoying it so far. So, heartily recommend that as well. So, I wanted to keep this under 10 minutes. I'm not sure what's going to come out to, so I'll rattle this off quickly. No idea whether this is going to work, if I'm honest. I've quite enjoyed doing it, more than I thought I was going to, so which is probably a good sign, and probably a sign I'm going to carry it on. I suppose how long I'll carry it on for will depend on how many people watch it. I'm going to stick it on YouTube as well, because that's something new, and hey, why not? So we'll see. But if you have stuck with it all the way through to here, thank you very much. There's no prize or bonus for getting this far, so sorry about that. And if I do this again, I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.